One Network, and that one is called Spirit. As usual, when you hear that song on a Thursday, just know that the good Rev is back in the Bew.
I certainly am in the Bew.
How you doing, Rev?
I'm brilliant. It's been an interesting week when it comes to social media, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it has.
Yeah, there's been all sorts of things going on.
Extremely.
I don't even know where to start from. But I think the most interesting has to be the unfortunate accident.
Oh, yes.
I think when that man wakes up, that is if he's not already awake, but when he wakes up, he'll really be in for some serious shock. Like the amount of, because social media is crazy when it comes to how it builds entire narratives, you know?
And I never get it. Why people always dig for so much stuff.
Yeah, even
at the time when something has happened and no one really knows the details, but it's almost like you're guilty
before you're even
guilty.
I'm telling you, and so that one should be very, very heartbreaking but interesting.
Yeah,
for him, and of course, condolences to the family. It's bad to mourn and then be in the midst of a social media storm.
That's true. That's
just
true.
Horrible.
Because I always think about the family, the sisters, the brothers.
You know what I mean?
The parents.
Yeah.
Everyone else who's close to the deceased.
Yeah, because even the chatter that is going back, you know, it's just horrible. And then there are people who will phone the family. So you have to start explaining. No, actually, hey, you have to keep explaining. Then another one also, another explanation. And in an awkward kind of way, I think that's the challenge that, and for me, I feel bad about this one, but I think that's the challenge that the Olios are going through. Because there's also been a lot of noise around them.
I actually forgot about that story. Yeah. Mr. John Wick. I forgot about Mr. John Wick.
Oh no, it's been
a crazy week.
I feel it for Kidist actually, because I think she's under immense pressure. I just hope that they can really work things out and get past this.
Is it okay as a celebrity, Rev, to just stay away from the socials?
Yes.
And just have people who manage your pages
50-50.
with
but
regards
what you need to do as a celeb, because you still need not to lose all the opportunities that come with it. You just need to stay away from what I call the barking dogs.
Yeah.
So the challenge is that there's been too much responding to barking dogs. So you validate the dogs.
True.
Because if you're an elephant, really, why should you care about a dog barking? They let it bark. Just ignore it. But when you respond, you validate.
Of course.
And now the dog goes on steroids. Now it becomes a lion. You know, and then from there it's crazy. Now you start, he said, she said, they said, and then before you know it, it's now a storm. I mean, I actually even feel it for Your Maps / Elton. Because it's really challenging. You're hearing so many voices, and some of them are very negative concerning his wife. So I really hope they can work through all that stuff and just kind of balance it out.
I always say be like Nalu or Exile.
You know what I mean, huh?
You know, be like
no.
Who else? We have so many celebrity couples.
Yes, Francia,
who just have a way of
dandy crazy.
Yes,
you know,
even Danny.
Yeah,
I've never a single time have I ever heard Danny in the news with his wife, whatever.
No, but you've got to remember also, you have to the credit of the Olios, you have to look at the level. Okay, because the tall tree always gets the wind.
Maybe it's an age thing as well.
No, but
going
it's also,
with the generations.
Yeah, but even the level, because if you're at the level that Your Maps is at, you know, I mean, everything Your Maps has done is a controversy. Refusing to go and say broadcast was a controversy. Doing the stadium was like everything. He's literally our local Michael Jackson now. You know, so it doesn't help when the wife decides to respond, because that doesn't help the situation. So she just needs to stop responding to dogs.
Or just stay away in general.
Yeah, but especially responding to dogs.
Just stay away.
No, she needs the social media for her spin. But don't respond.
The spin is okay, but stay away.
The dogs, guy.
Just stay away.
The dogs.
Because you're inviting dogs.
No, but even if the dogs are barking, if you don't respond to them, they get tired of barking.
But also, even the things we post ourselves, because we sort of just
bring it on us.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you're gonna go out and do whatever it is that you do out there in the clubs, whatever, there's no need to post those things on the socials because
Agreed.
you are inviting talk.
They're dogs.
The dogs, like you call it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They're gonna
And
back.
They're gonna back, and when they back, if you then say,
They'll keep backing.
"Hey, it's my business," then now so very soon there'll be even pastor saying, "No, we can pray for you guys." Anyway, let's go to our guest. Interview coaching skills. Today we have Nkole Mulenga from KSM Management Consultants, and please let us welcome Nkole Mulenga. She's not a stranger. She normally comes and represents KSM, and today she is certainly here and she will be guiding us further. So Nkole, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Rev, for having me.
Indeed, we're glad to have you here. So what I'd like to hear from you, Nkole, is what exactly, just introduce KSM Management Consultants to us.
Okay, thank you. So KSM is one of the largest HR recruitment firm in Zambia that we have. And we offer different services. We offer recruitment, we offer HR outsourcing, we also do payroll, background checks, and training. So I'm coming from the training department. I'm the training assistant there.
Okay. And so tell us a bit more about the training that KSM is going to be hosting.
Okay, so before I even go deeper into the training that KSM will be holding, as a training department, we offer different types of trainings.
Okay.
So we have these public trainings that we hold from now and then, like maybe twice or 3 times in a month, that we offer to the public to just come through if they feel like a particular topic that we are offering is of their interest and benefit. Then we also offer in-house trainings, whereby if you are part of an organization and you notice a particular gap in your employees and you feel like you want to train them, you want them to be trained so that they gain a particular certain skill, you can also reach out to us. We are able to train, to offer trainings in all areas, and we have expertise who can offer and train your employees. So be able to reach out to us.
So maybe you could go further in terms of the training itself. What upcoming trainings do you have at KSM Management Consultants?
Okay, so right now we have upskilling and reskilling sales training.
When is that on? Okay.
Yeah, it is scheduled for the 25th to the 26th of April 2024.
Awesome.
Yes, and it's going to be held at Best Western Plus Hotel.
Where is that?
Just here.
Oh yeah, right by the flyover bridge.
Yes, just right there.
Yes.
So the training is going at 1,500 for people who be attending online. So we are able to accommodate for people.
Sorry. 1,500 you said?
Yes.
For which one now? The people attending online?
Yes.
And then those attending physically?
Those who are attending physically, the fees 3,500. Yes. Upskilling and reskilling sales training.
Wow.
So this training is not a 1-day training. It's a 2 days training. Yes. So we're inviting people from different lives of work to come through and attend our training.
And then after that, what other training do you have?
Okay, so we also have Understanding Zambian Labor Laws, which is going to be held on the 2nd to the 3rd of May 2024. Yes, and
what are the fees like for that one?
The fees. So what's happening right now is to avoid people to be confused on which trainings we are particularly offering. We'll be sharing our calendar tomorrow on our socials. So that calendar will have all the fees and everything. So today I'll just be sharing the training title and the venue and the dates.
All right.
Yes.
So you said Understanding Zambian Labor Laws.
Yes. Then we have Prepare Women for the Top Leaderships. Steps to Climb in the Corporate Ladder, which is on the 9th to the 10th of May. Then we have Interview Coaching Skills Masterclass. Since this is a monthly, like we are going to be having it each and every month.
That's right.
So you'll be seeing more of it each and every month. So this one is scheduled for the 17th of May 2024. Then we have Effective Management of Redundancies, Retrenchments, and Retirements. So this one is scheduled for the 23rd to the 24th of March. So people can just look out for our training calendar, which will be posted tomorrow on our Facebook
on your socials
page.
So
yes.
maybe you could just guide which ones are your socials.
Okay, so we have a page on Facebook which goes by the name of KSM Management Consultants, LinkedIn as well, Instagram, and we also have an account on TikTok
Okay.
Yes.
And on those, you're going to be posting all the details?
All the details.
Calendars as well. On TikTok as well? How does that happen? It's a video?
Yes, it's a video.
I thought so. Because I was
We also
wondering.
have interesting fun videos, so you do follow us on TikTok as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's very good. So tell us more about the interview coaching. Well, the one, forget about that one. The upskilling and reskilling. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so before I even go deeper in what the upskilling and reskilling sales training is all about, I just want to talk a bit about training and the importance of training, because people often tend to overlook what training is all about.
That's right.
Because, life is a continuous kind of a process. You keep on learning and learning each and every day. And people usually feel to say, oh, I'm done with my degree. I've done my master's. So what am I learning for? You learn every day. So even as you are in a work environment, you need to ensure that you continue upskilling your skills. You continue reskilling as well. So I'll talk about the 4 most important reasons why you need training in not just skilling and reskilling, but other areas of learning. So we'll talk about maybe
Yes.
So if someone who's trained in a particular certain area or field, you'll be able to avoid risks and errors. So that's one of the reasons why you make sure that you're trained in a particular field that you're in. Then the other reason is you maintain competitiveness, because there are a lot of people who are doing business out there and they don't even take into consideration whether they have competitors or not. It's because they don't know, they haven't been trained to say they need to take into consideration such kind of things. Then we also have enhanced innovations. So you help your employees, or you help yourself to be able to think critically. You help yourself to become innovative.
That's right.
You explore new ideas because you're open. Because these trainings that we offer, they also give you a platform to network. You're able to network with other people who have different minds and new ideas.
That's right.
Yes, so it's also a platform. So don't just look at it from a perspective of having to come and be trained, but also look at it from the point of being able to network with other people, like-minded people who've gone ahead of you and whatnot.
Yes.
So this also helps you to boost your morale as you're even working. It helps you to motivate, and it motivates you and gives you job satisfaction in that particular area that you're in. Then it also improves your performance in that particular environment that you might be in at that particular time.
That's right.
Yes. So then when we talk about upskilling and reskilling sales training, we are talking about expanding your skills sets. Yes, because the world is evolving each and every day. You can't be applying the same things that you are doing in 2010 in 2024. So you need to expand your skill set. You adapt to the new environment, the changing market dynamics, and the technology advancements.
Indeed.
Yes. So you also need to learn you also need to learn customer relationship management. So at our training, we'll be able to teach you how you handle your relationships with your customers. Yes, we also teach you your sales techniques, because you can't apply, for example, I come here at the radio, then I have a deal that I want to strike with you. It's not the same approach that I'm going to give if I go at the bank.
Absolutely.
So we are going to teach you how you're going to handle different customers with those sales techniques. Then you also need to have your good communication skills.
That's right.
You need to communicate with your customers in a proper way. Then you also need to do your market research before you go out there. So these are some of the few things that we are going to teach you when you come through for upskilling and reskilling.
So just in conclusion, how can people find you, and what number can they call? In fact, I've seen a number here. Let me type it.
Okay. Okay, so you can reach out to us on 0955 900 392.
0955 900
392.
392.
Then you can also reach us on 0976 389844.
Okay, one number is good enough because I won't remember. So 0955 900 392. 392, not 329. Okay, sorry.
Yes,
I'm
392.
re-editing 392. Okay. Alrighty, so thank you so very much for being a part of our call this morning. We're going straight into the mention at 1855, isn't it? Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're
Rev.
welcome.
Get ready to win big with Zanaco. Save 5,000 kwacha and you could win big. Grow and maintain your account balance by 5,000 kwacha and you could be one of 55 monthly winners of 5,000 kwacha in cash prizes. But that's not all. You could be the lucky winner of a 3-bedroomed house. Start saving with Zanaco today. Terms and conditions apply.
It's 18:55 and this time check is brought to you by Zanaco. Accessing cash has never been simpler by Zanaco. By dialing *444# you can now cash out at any Kazang, Konse 534 or Zona agent, whether you're on the go or in need of quick access to funds. Getting cash is made easy with Zanaco. Simply dial *444#, select cash out to get started today. Remember, T's and C's apply. This time check was brought to you by Zanaco.
Get ready to win big with Zanaco. Save 5,000 kwacha and you could win big. Grow and maintain your account balance by 5,000 kwacha and you could be one of 55 monthly winners of 5,000 kwacha in cash prizes. But that's not all. You could be the lucky winner of a 3-bedroomed house. Start saving with Zanaco today. Terms and conditions apply.
There's exciting news in town. Tell everyone around that Freedom Fiesta is here. Unga kule ploti na payment plan. Ni one night ni chabe we every month. Wela kunkwashi, kwashi. Freedom Fiesta is here. Kwashi, soar high.
Take that and rewind it back.
Radio After 6, the classic edition, where memories live.
Oh, na na. Oh, na na. Oh, my name is better. Easy like 1, 2, 3. You can make it easily. Zambia's #1. Follow up budget, you know my one. 4 great flavors. Back with vitamins. Na fed my easy noodles nanga iwe. Nikonda easy. 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 Ni magia easy. 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 Ala nikonda easy ne. Easy ne. Ndawa easy. Easy. Ala ni magia easy ne. Easy.
Easy noodles. Nizi.
Available in 5 great flavors: beef, chicken, spicy chicken, vegetable, and now chicken onion.
Anytime I wanna fly local, anytime I wanna fly international, I choose the new wing of Zambia Airways.
Hello Fuwe, hello Kasama. From the 1st of April 2024, Zambia Airways spreads its wings to the east in Fuwe, flying 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and spreads its wings north to Kasama every Monday. For reservations, email reservations@zambiaairways.zm.
Zambia Airways.
The news headlines every second hour
Are sponsored by Swan Insurance Zambia.
For you, for them, for life. Swan, for life.
The news headlines: Police in Lusaka have detained Axon Tembo of SOS Forest in Lusaka on charges of alleged fraudulent activities. Minister of Education Douglas Yakalima has criticized the media for falsely reporting about the toilets that President Hakainde Hichilema commissioned in Kwacha constituency in Kitwe last week. The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has instituted a market inquiry into the commercial poultry industry in Zambia. In international news, the French government says a decision by Burkina Faso to expel 3 of its diplomats was based on unfounded allegations. And in sports news, Barcelona have been fined for racist behavior and other actions by their fans in their Champions League quarter-final first leg at Paris Saint-Germain ends the headlines.
Zambia's award-winning and most trusted news and entertainment provider. Consistently delivering unrivaled world-class radio 24/7, 365. We are Hot FM. It's Friday, Junior. One more sleep, and it's the weekend.
This Easter, enjoy amazing saving deals with the Choppies Easter Golden Eggs galore. Win a 60-second Find the Golden Egg Trolley Dash and a share of 1 million kwacha worth of shopping vouchers by buying any of the participating brands advertised in the Choppies Easter promotion. The Choppies Easter Golden Eggs galore promotion is valid from the 25th of March to the 5th of May 2024 in all Choppies stores countrywide. Terms and conditions apply. Choppies, great value for your money.
1xBet, the path to success is a high-stakes game. If you accept its rules and take a step, the winnings may exceed your expectation. Play with 1xBet. Register with promo code Davido260 and get a chance to receive up to 300% bonus on your first deposit. Use the modern 1xBet mobile app to stay connected with thousands of sporting events every day. 1xBet is regulated by the Gaming Board of Zambia. Not for person under the age of 18. Terms and conditions apply.
We need you to read all of this in the next 30 seconds. Is that okay?
Yeah? All of it? Do they really offer all of this?
You ready?
Yeah.
Let's give it a go.
All the goals, flashes and moments. All of Rashford, Salah and Saka. All 380 games, all in HD. Available in all the languages you want, on all the devices you enjoy. Choose the bouquet you want from all the options available. The Premier League, all on DSTV. Is that all?
Take that and rewind it back.
Radio after 6, the classic edition. Where memories live. Rev Walter on Prosperity Insights. Now on Hot FM.
Alrighty, so today I am on a topic which is extremely, how can I put it? It's very close to my heart, and it's got to do with Africa. If you recall, I did feature about 3 years ago on TED. Was that 3 years or 2 years? I can't remember. On TED. And on TED, I was speaking about the 5 major reasons religion is the number 1 cause of poverty in Africa. And when I did that, that led to a very, very popular video. In fact, amongst the TED Talk speakers, when it comes to Zambia, I hold the record for the highest views on YouTube. So that's how much dust it raised. And so with that speech and that TED Talk, I did then commence with the writing of the book, The 5 Major Reasons Africa is Poor, which then came out. Very, very interesting book. I got to connect with a lot of people in the diaspora, in the US, and many did put me on various podcasts to speak about that book. It still hasn't become the bestseller I wanted it to be, but you never know. You never know. It could be a slow burner. But it has definitely moved in thousands. But when I talk about bestseller, I'm talking about New York Times bestseller. You know, we all want to kind of fantasize one day being on the New York Times bestseller list. But that aside, the content and the pertinent info is very powerful. We then did on Diamond TV a 13-part series on the same title, in which I really went to town and broke it down. These things can be found on my page. So if you go to Rev Walter Mwambazi on YouTube channel, you will see my 13 episodes. Very, very insightful stuff, which is the basis on which the book was written. So when I did the book, obviously talking about the 5 major reasons Africa is poor, there was, of course, a request for what are the solutions to those 5 major reasons. So for those of you who do not know what the 5 major reasons are, according to Rev Walter, they are as follows. And Nono is listening. So is my sister on my left. She's also listening. Monsa Monakaoma. So anyway, here are the 5 major reasons for Africa's poverty. And number 5, so I'm going from least to most powerful. And number 5 is poor governance. And number 4 is weak institutions. And number 3 is geography. Yes. If you follow, you understand what that's all about. And number 2 is culture. Now, if you go in my book, these 4 reasons take up half the book. And then at number 1, which for me is the foremost reason for Africa's poverty and continues to be more powerful a reason than any other reason. In fact, take all the four, put them together, they are still less influential than the number one reason. And for me, it's religion. And yes, I say religion, I'm a clergyman, I'm a pastor, but believe me, when you read the book, you will see why I place religion as the number one factor for poverty. And within religion are 5 factors. So number one is religion is a tool for mass control by the elite. So the elite from time immemorial realized that the number one way in which you can control the masses is by using religion. And remember, because of being a pastor, I had to do a differentiation between religion and spirituality, which I did. I'm not going to go into that. That's not my topic today. And so after differentiating what true spirituality is, and if we come to, we then go to religion. And religion, as far as I'm concerned, is both Christianity and Islam. Both have played a massive role in putting Africans in a very bad place. And why? Because they both brought culture alongside the message of the, call it the kingdom for us Christians. And so this in turn was done so because the elite ruling class realized that it's the most powerful way to make it work. Number 2, it justifies the rule of empires. What did I just say? It justifies eliticism and the rule of emperors. In other words, it creates what we call the God complex and the special types of people among human beings. So in other words, religion justifies the so-called anointing. And this is not just within Christianity. Even when you come to traditional African religious beliefs, same story. The elite are endowed as being the carriers of the God seed or the God blood. And that's the reason why they are elite. That's the reason why they rule over the rest of the people, because every religious setup and every political setup has the religious people endorsing the politician. So it's a very powerful concept. We saw that taken to the next level in our previous regime. Even the rulers of that regime started being referred to as the anointed ones. So you realize that this is the thing. And if you look at what's going on right now with the churches and how they're taking advantage of the poor and gullibility, it's again religion on steroids. So for me, that's the second reason. The third reason why religion is such a powerful tool is that it was the basis on which the trans-Arabic and transatlantic slave trades were justified. Remember, the Muzungus, when they discovered that Africans can be a great tool for building and creating whatever they wanted to create, they realized very quickly that the best way to control the Africans is to use religion. So in the 1400s, the then rulership of the religious circles of Christianity created something called the doctrine of discovery, in which they sent out missionaries, sent out merchants, sent out soldiers to go and conquer new lands. And these guys were given the permission and absolution. The word absolution means that whatever they were going to do, whether be it atrocities of murder or whatever they would do, can be done. They have already been forgiven by God. And so this gave them the power to go take over new lands. And the first strategy was start off by preaching the gospel to them so that they can convert to become Christians. If they accept, great, because then we can tell them that it is our God whom you have accepted who has asked you to give your land to us, give us your gold, your jewelry and everything. And so that's how it all began. And then later on it translated into actual slave trade, because then somebody figured that the key to enslaving an entire population is to tell them that they are cursed. And so they used religion to do that. In the Bible, Genesis chapter 9 verse 27 was the key scripture in which they claimed Ham was the father of the African race and the black people, and he was cursed by Noah, and so he carries the curse of being inferior to Shem and his other brothers. And so the Shemites and the Japhetites are superior to the Hamites. And so the idea of turning an entire race into slaves was born. And so a lot of teachers of the law, teachers of the gospel, teachers of the Bible then use that as a means to justify the doctrine of white supremacy. So number 4 is that it first justified also, apart from just slave trade, which then allowed massive people to be captured en masse and sent out there. It became justified because of that. But then beyond that, they then also justified colonialism, because they say that we are superior to you guys. We're sent by God and we are supposed to rule you guys. So surrender everything to us and we'll take care of you. And so that's how these colonialists then ruled Africa for all those years. And remember, what was their secret weapon? It was white supremacy. So white supremacy is the idea that the white race is superior to the black race. And this is something that was taught for hundreds of years. It's not me hating on white people. It's not me trying to be divisive. It's me bringing and shining a light on the most evil deed ever committed by a particular group of people in the name of exploiting another group of people. White supremacy still rears its ugly head even today in this country, Zambia. Because in Zambia, people are still inferior in terms of their thinking to Muzungus, because they think Muzungus are superior to us. Why? Because that was taught by white supremacy. That idol called Jesus, that idol with a heart on it, that is an example of mindset control by the authorities, by the elitists in the church, to sustain and maintain an image that God is white and Jesus is white. And so if Jesus is white, the messenger is white, then that makes the messenger superior. And that's why even today Africans still call an African who's doing well a Muzungu. That's why we say Bazungu. We are bound by white supremacy, my friends. There are people right now who will consider a white pastor superior to a black pastor. There are people today who will consider a white man superior to a black man, even if they are a white Zambian. This is the after effects of hundreds of years of mental slavery. So anyway, so I brought all this stuff up and it was very touchy. It really caused a lot of noise. People were like, you're preaching hatred. No, I'm not. I'm preaching awakening. And I speak this as a kingdom child, as a born-again, spirit-filled, tongue-speaking Pentecostal Christian, and proud of it. But still, I recognize the irrevocably irretrievable damage that white supremacy has done to Africans. Today in South Africa, proof that white supremacy is still powerful. South African blacks would rather kill fellow blacks like Mozambicans and Zimbabweans in the name of, what do they call it again? Xenophobia. They would rather kill fellow Africans trying to churn out a survival in South Africa. These fellow Africans own only 2% of South Africa's wealth. Can you imagine that? 2% of South Africa's wealth is owned by African foreigners like Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Mozambicans, and the like. And over 75, now this is the part that's scary. Over 75% of South Africa's wealth is in the hands of white South Africans. But you see, they will not kill the whites. They will not carry out genocide against, what do they call it? Xenophobia. They will not carry out xenophobia against the whites. Instead, they will go to burn a Somalian shop. They'll go to burn a Rwandese shop. They'll go and burn Mozambicans. I know the Mozambicans have become criminals in South Africa, but that doesn't change the fact that they would rather direct that hatred to fellow black people. For me, that is proof of how the programming has worked. You self-hate. You self-hate. When you see a fellow black progressing and succeeding, there is all manner of evil that is spoken about them. But there are so many rich white people exploiting Africans. I'm not saying all of them, but there are many. They are exploiting Africans. Even now, they are flying in their planes and exploiting Africa. Do you hear Zambians speak about those whites? No, they shiver for them. They engender for them. When they come at the airport, they literally bow to those white people. But if it's a fellow black, no, they'll give the black grief. So that's the level of safe held we have. But whatever the case, today I'm here now to talk about the 7 major key factors to transforming Africa. That was what the Lozis would call a preambula, which is really a preamble. So that was a preamble. And now we're going to go deeper into understanding these key factors that will transform Africa. And what you have to understand is Africa is one of the most interesting conundrums in modern history. It is endowed with the greatest natural resources on the planet. Believe it or not, it has great wealth on its grounds, both under and above, and yet is simultaneously home to the poorest people in the world. According to Global Finance magazine I haven't even checked what the 2024 figures are. It's just depressing. The World Index in 2022 placed 18 out of 20 poorest countries in the world in Africa. The other two was Micronesia and Solomon Islands. Those are the two other. And notice something conspicuous about these poverty levels. They are mostly melanin or black people. Now, there are some countries where there's wars, like Afghanistan, Somalia, Syria. There's no government in existence, so that's understandable. But the other countries have governments, everything in place, but sure, poverty. So to give you an idea, listen to this. To give you the appreciation of the oxymoron I just mentioned, let me give you some statistics on our continent I came across. Listen to this. Africa has a total area of 30.37 million kilometers, in which China, USA, Europe can all fit, and there'll be room. But part of the mental game they play, this is why on the map, I know there's reasons. They say no, because of cartography and the shiny, I don't know what explanation they give. There's some lengthy explanation why Europe, Russia, and China look bigger than Africa on the map. You know that, eh?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Africa looks small. But did you know that China, USA, and Europe can fit in Africa and there's still room? But then on the map, they look big. As if it were not enough, Africa has 60% arable and 90% of raw material reserve, especially in terms of useful minerals like copper, iron, tin, zinc, manganese, and just about every other industrial metal imaginable. On top of this, Africa has 40% of global gold reserve, 33% of diamond reserve, and 80% of global coltan. By the way, that's the material being used for nanotech. That's the material for the cell phones. That's the material for the laptops. That's the material for all these gadgets we're seeing today. And guess where 75% of that coltan sits? In the Congo DR. That's why Congo will never be free until Africa wakes up. Because they are going there to get everything they need from Congo, and they are keeping it deliberately ungovernable. Now, furthermore, Africa has 60% of the global cobalt reserves, which, as you know, is the key mineral in the manufacture of batteries. And with the coming global summit on climate change, which came, by the way, it passed, and the drive for more battery-powered automobiles and a move away from fossil fuels, this is one mineral whose consumption would drastically increase. And as we as a continent have the major supply of cobalt, Zambia inclusive. Do not also forget that this is based on known deposits. In other words, there are many deposits right now that are popping up. In the words of one great teacher, he said that God has blessed Africa so much, it vomits wealth. So from time to time, gold just gets vomited out of the ground. Cobalt just gets vomited. Like they're just discovering stuff that they didn't even know exist. Do you know how much gold is in Zambia? No. How much gold is in this country?
No.
If you knew Mdala, you'd be hurt. We have so much gold in this country. We could pay off the so-called IMF debt like that. And I'm not joking. We could pay it off like that. Don't ask me why we are not getting that gold and using it to pay off our loans. So we continue. Africa is very rich in oil and natural gases, right? Has the most fish-rich coastlines in the world. Can you imagine? Namibia is the number one source of fish in the world. I've even knocked the table for emphasis. And is the safest continent in terms of natural disasters. We don't have earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, avalanches, floods. Rarely do we have those issues. Because God knows just from the inability to rescue people. But thank God, God knew, I'll give him enough sun, I'll give him enough water. He's given us everything. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, But do you know that Africa will be the last safest place for people of the world to come and live? So if we ever have a disaster out there, especially in terms of war, here in Africa will be fine. To prove my point, they tried COVID. Whether they tried it purposefully, deliberately, accidentally, it doesn't really matter. There were some big elitists who even came and said, I see dead people all over Africa. Kulibe, guess what? We are still here. Those who died are the others. They are the ones who are dying like flies in their countries. Here, we didn't die because God has a hand over this continent. We are going to be the last greatest factor. I'm a huge believer in something called the African Renaissance. We're going to see a resurgence, a second African Renaissance, but it will take an awakening. Let me continue. Africa is, so I've already told you that. Okay, so another great fact is that this is hardly emphasized in schools, because my education here to is brainwashing education by the Muzungus. They gave us this education where we talk about Africa, from 1800 coming forward, when the white man is already in the picture. Then you're teaching that to our children. To our children, you're telling them whites came and helped Africa become civilized. Really, we were not civilized before? That's a lie. We were civilized. But the problem is they don't want you to know that. They want you to think that you're a monkey and they came and civilized you as a monkey. Sorry, but that's a fact. I'm not making these words up because Cecil Rhodes said, and I quote, but paraphrase because I don't have the exact quote. Cecil Rhodes said, and by the way, for those of you who don't know your history, Cecil Rhodes is the guy who basically put together Zambia and Zimbabwe, right?
And Malawi.
And Malawi.
Yes.
And a couple of other countries. This place was called Rhodesia. So Zambia was northern Rhodesia, Zimbabwe was southern Rhodesia, and these countries were named after this guy called Rhodes.
And Nyasaland.
And Nyasaland. Sorry, yes, you're right. They were all part of this guy. This place was owned by a company, not the country, company.
They were called the BC what?
Yes, the British South Africa Company.
Oh yes.
They owned Zambia, they owned Zimbabwe, they owned Nyasaland. And you know what they were saying that time? They were saying that this is our place. Now, this is what this man said. He said, there is no greater noble thing than to be born white British. It is the greatest honor on the planet to be born a white Briton. So you see the level of pride these people had and self-confidence. And this is not something Vamene Nivonama. Checking in my book. Muzao Nakuti, there was a time they gathered Africans, put them together in a zoo in Boston, and said, this is how the Africans live, like monkeys on trees. They created an entire village, Boston in America, Boston, the city of Boston, Massachusetts. They put a whole zoo, and they put Africans in there in that zoo. There's another lady called Sarah Bateman. She had a very big behind. They carried her as an exhibit to England so that people can be admiring and getting shocked by how big her backside was. She was there on display.
I remember that one.
You know what I mean? This is what these people did. So even if one says, no, it's a past. Yeah, but it's messed up Africans. Today we still worship white people because of that past. So we need to break that. But let me continue. Another factor that is hardly emphasized in schools today is because of a deliberate ploy by the establishments to expunge history of the influence of people of color, that is Africa, is where the greatest civilizations of the humankind began. Kemet, which is Egypt, which, by the way, was populated by black-skinned Africans and not the whites you see in Hollywood blockbusters. This is a fact. And the reason why this is not accepted scientifically is because there is a field called Egyptology whose single function, and by the way, have you ever heard of any other ology in connection to ancient civilizations? Never.
No.
They had all these ancient people, like in South America, you've got the Mayans, whatever, but you will never hear Mayanology or whatever. You won't hear that, but you hear Egyptology. You know why? Because Egyptology protects the concept that Egypt was populated by white Africans, not black. Yet all you need to do is just go to the pyramids, go to the paintings, and you will see black people painted there, including pharaohs. So there's been this thing to block that idea, so that we continue believing Africans are the dumbest, stupidest people. And today, I saw an interview, not today, a couple of weeks ago, where one of these elitist, rich, white Americans was saying we need to go back in Africa and recolonize them because they've failed to run their own countries. That's what they were saying.
But it's already happening, Rev.
Yeah, of course it is.
The fact that we are begging for funding.
I hate that.
We are begging for aid.
Can you imagine?
Even when we're sitting on so many
And
minerals.
we're sitting on gold, which can fund everything. But we have to go and beg.
We still beg.
And we even have to believe the Bretton Woods Institutes. I know my elder and mentor is part of that setup, and God bless him, and I love what he does and I love what he talks. But I still do not subscribe to the IMF and World Bank. As far as I'm concerned, those organizations are designed to ensure we remain in this wallowing poverty, which doesn't make any sense for a simple guy like me who looks at the wealth in our continent. Like, honestly. I mean, take example. Sorry to use this example, but it's in the public domain. A certain leader who was a liquidator has been, what did I say? He's forfeited $24 million to the state. Me, what I ask myself is, $24 million? Muntu umozi. And then we have poverty in the Copper Belt. Inexcusable. How much is that in Kwacha? What can it do for development in on the ground? That $24 million. This is the money that when the Japanese or the Americans give us, we even do a kafan fair, cutting a ribbon, shiny. They have given us $3 million. One person, $24 million. One person. And then we say we are poor. Sorry, I'm ranting today. Let's continue.
Continue ranting, Rev. Let's go.
It's a rant. So listen to this. These ancient civilizations this is African ancient civilization, is where science, listen to this, science, astrology, cosmology, education, architecture, physics, mathematics, and organized religion were started. Where? In Egypt. Whilst Europe was still plagued with diseases and populated by barbarians. This is not a lie. It is a historical fact. It is a historical fact that Greece and the so-called philosophers gleaned their knowledge from Kemet, from Egypt. So advanced was the scholarly reputation of the Egyptians that the Greeks even named one of their cities after their great general Alexander, being Alexandria, the seat of knowledge in the ancient world and home to the most advanced ancient library of the time, housing 200,000 books. And by the way, do you know that library was burned? Anyway, that's a topic for another day. So when it comes to the population, Africa has 1.3 billion people, whilst China alone has 1.4. Do you realize what that means? Africa is underpopulated. That's another lie, which they keep us overpopulated. Which overpopulation? There's so much empty land. And you know, the worst part about this overpopulation hogwash is that they get Africans to actually start believing it. So what's happened now? We are trying to kind of keep ourselves down. Thank God for people who don't listen to propaganda. So they're still multiplying, because that's what God said. God said, go to the world and multiply, not start controlling yourselves. And so now they are trying to fund abortion so that we can kill more Africans, trying to sterilize black people. Do you know, this is the saddest part, that there are actually programs that were created by the elitists to sterilize entire populations. But you know something about African people? I don't know how God created us mind. Because ingati kuli muntu muchalo chino chamene vanaye so series ni mufirika. You know they finished all the Indians in America, right?
Yes.
You know they literally wiped out entire tribes in America to zero.
Oh, yes.
Not the African, my friend. They did everything to us. They put syphilis in us. They took us for experiments. They did all manner of evils. They brought and planted AIDS secretly in Africa. This is not things I'm making up. They were planting diseases in Africa to wipe Africans out. But guess what? We are still here. Okay, minding a ranting.
The good Rev.
We are still here. We're not going anywhere. They even brought, like I said, COVID. There'll be dead people in Africa. We are still here. Still enough. They were even wondering, how come they're not dying? We're expecting Kuribe still Ufa. God's hand is on us.
Remember how they refused give us
the what was it?
The medicine that Madagascar was creating. Because Madagascar was creating its own medicine to cure
COVID,
and they refused. They said no, it can't be tested.
It hasn't gone under the testing. But vivao banavitesita. So banavitesita banamba chabe kulasa bantu chabe kwa lasering people everywhere. And they even told you if you don't get lasa, tikuchosa nchito, tikuvarika, tikuvala, so end out of the country. What? They threatened people left, right, and center. And because they are so good at that, as usual. We're even like, no, you must be vaccinated because if you're not vaccinated, you are part of the troublemakers. Which troublemakers? Did they carry out tests? No. How did they come up with a vaccine so fast for COVID, but HIV, do we have a vaccine? Yeah. Which one was faster? Which one has been around longer? HIV. You're telling me there's no cure? Of course you know there's a cure.
It is.
Sondashi formula is a cure. But will they accept Sondashi? No, it's made by a monkey. It's made by a black man who is not part of the big pharma setup. And they are gatekeepers. So they have to make sure they bring untested vaccines. This is not something I'm making up now. There's been big congressional meetings where they've talked about these things openly. So I'm not saying something from the blue. But what do they make us do? They make us take all the injections. Thankfully, because God loves black people. My injection, my poison, whatever they've been doing, blacks are still here. And we are multiplying like mice. We are not going anywhere. And now, so what have they done now? Now they are sponsoring programs to go into the villages to teach people, no, there's this birth control. They are literally, I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but we have history to prove this. History to prove it, that they come bringing a program that looks like it's a program for health, but in actual fact, they're injecting, sterilizing, and infecting people. That's what the South Africans were doing in Zambia in the 80s with AIDS. They brought it purposefully through their so-called humanitarian aid, and what they were doing is literally sterilizing and killing people. That's on record. So I always say, you know what? God loves our continent and he'll see us through. Now, I just need to stop my rant. I was still going on about this. Let me just go to the 7 points very quickly. But my point was that we are at a place today where Africa has the means to rise up. So somebody will say, but then, of course, but what's happening, guy? We're still facing corruption. We're still facing this. We're still facing that. This is what I always say, that I wish you guys were students of history so that you understand. And my series is going to go into the history. You need to understand why we are where we are. Why is it that 60 years after independence, Africa still has these levels of poverty? Why do we have these levels of poverty? Because it is deliberate. I made a statement. I always make this statement. I'm thinking of how to say it. What we have in Africa is not education, it's schooling. It was designed by very powerful elitists to keep people in a certain way of thinking. Miles Monroe really went to town with that. He basically said that for 200 to 300 years, Africans were raised to serve their slave masters. So everything about them was to serve the slave masters. When colonialism came, then they were transitioned from being slaves to being producers. So one country like Malawi would just be growing tea. Another country like Kenya would be growing coffee, things like that. They were basically made to serve the European markets. And then when the Africans started screaming about independence, because change cannot be stopped, they gave them the independence. But guess what? You've been raised all your life to serve the colonialists. You think by giving you independence, you'll be able to self-govern? That education and everything about education and religion was not designed to empower. It was designed to enslave. And so Africans became enslaved mentally. And that's why, Marcus Garvey said, emancipate yourself from end-time slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. So what did that mean? That meant that the African, in the words of Dr. Miles Monroe, was delivered from Egypt and went into the desert. But Egypt was still in them. And that's why some Africans are even saying, let's just bring back the whites. You see, you are given this capacity to govern yourself, but you were never empowered to govern. You think you run things correctly. And then let's not forget that there was a Cold War going on between the Russians and Americans in those days. So there was a lot of agents crawling around in Africa. What happened to Congo? What happened to all the leaders that were assassinated, specifically Congo? And even as late as the 80s, we had Thomas Sankara. Who killed Thomas Sankara if it not be at the behest of the colonialists? Who killed Lumumba if it was not at the behest of the colonialists? And who sabotaged so many of our African countries from ever achieving proper independence? Even though they gave them physical independence, they never gave them mental independence. And so many African countries failed and self-destructed. And so then they turn around and say, Africans can't govern themselves. Africans are useless. Look at how their corruption and mess is. True. They've put what I call a systemic anomaly. They have designed the system to self-destruct. And is self-destructing. That's why we can't see. That's why in West Africa, these guys just had enough. Those 4 countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, what? They just had enough. They said, you know what? Middle finger to the colonialists. We are going to take this baby over. And of course, it's not easy. But they're doing it. You know why? Because enough is enough. And I'm not supporting taking power that way. But when you push a rat to the corner, right? You've heard that saying, eh? When you push a rat to the corner, and it has no other way to escape but through you, my friend is coming for you. So you need to realize that Africans have been pushed to a corner. Whatever the case, here are my 7 points and let's take some calls. So number 1, so what are the keys to breaking free? What are the keys to transforming Africa? I'll get deep into this in my next rant. Number 1 is to take responsibility. Africa, yes, the Muzungus messed us up left, right, and center. I agree, but we must take responsibility. There were many chiefs involved in that, right? There were many Africans willing to sell their brothers for a bowl of soup. We still have a lot of Africans today who are selling their brothers for a bowl of soup. A lot of Africans. We need to accept that that's a problem. Number 2, we need to raise our standards. We've been living in mediocrity for so long that when the government is doing what it's supposed to do, we cheer and we say, wow, we celebrate, like what happened last time with the previous regime. They built bridges, we're celebrating. What's there to celebrate? That's their job. It's like you bring food at home. Why should your children celebrate? That's your responsibility, not so. And what else are you supposed to be doing? Feeding the children, right? They didn't ask to be there. And on top of that, you campaign, not so. You campaign, no, if you vote for me, so can you make sure we raise the standard? And that is what you're supposed to do. There's nothing to be thankful for. The problem with politics and religion is we like to attribute too much praise to things that should be your job anyway. But because we love worshiping people, hey, we thank God for the great man of God. Please, he's a servant. He's not a God. That's his job. Otherwise, he should leave that job and let someone else do it. Number 3, change our belief systems. We are messed up. No. We are messed up as Africans. Many Africans see themselves as monkeys. Many Africans see themselves as totally useless. And they say it all the time. This is what we tell ourselves every day. And then we expect to succeed. How? When an African is succeeding, Bazungu. It's an African, he's not a white man. But because we're so messed up in our programming, we think Muzungus are superior. They are not. They are the same like we are. Every human is the same. But we've been messed up mentally, so we need to change our beliefs. And this even goes for religion as well. I have a very big bone to chew with Christianity and what it has become today. And I speak as a pastor. We are messed up. We attribute too much to individuals when it is actually God. So we need to get rid of that nonsense. There are no mediators. There are no special people. Yes, they are endowed, they are gifted like me. I'm a reverend. Yes, I'm gifted, whatever it is. Yes, I can do this, I can do that. But at the end of the day, all of you can access God. At least for the God part, you can access. You don't need a human being to pray for you. You can pray for yourself. But the problem is been programmed to death. Everything, yes, man of God, yes, man of God.
Worship
yes,
the Papa.
We need help.
Even have a portrait of the Papa in your house.
You know what I mean? What the heck is a portrait of the Papa? Is he a president now? No, if you can hang the president, why can't you hang your pastor? Why don't you hang your parents there? Oh man, we need help. Number 4, change our strategy. I wish 60 years tikai kushomboka. 60 years mdala tikai kushomboka as a continent. I think there's something wrong. Tifuna kuchinja plan, kuchinja vonse, kuchosa kakabuku kataya kutali. Let's come up with a new strategy because we've been suffering for 60 years. 60 years, surely we can be going around asking IMF to help us with money. 60 years. What's wrong with us? You know, me, I cannot accept that one. I think for me, it is wrong at fundamental levels. We can't be going to beg the IMF for money. And you know that the IMF don't even give us money. They just press a button. Are you aware? They press a button and then the money is there. So the whole money system is a rigged system designed to impoverish Africans. Sometimes I think we need to do what Zimbabwe has done. Okay, but Zimbabwe has issues. So let me not use that example. But
they have a new currency though.
Yes, which is backed by gold.
By gold.
Smart.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they are okay. Let me not say anything because I might be in that country tomorrow. So. Number 5, strengthen our institutions. We are still having people appointed by the president in this country. That's why we can't have strong institutions. All these institutions are filled with people that are loyal to the presidency, and that's why we can't progress. We need a situation where institutions become independent of the president so that we have real institutions. But you know what? I think the powers that be, and I'm specifically talking about the elites out there, have done this on purpose because they know by keeping us with weak institutions, we always remain in the same mess that we've been all these decades. Number 6, good governance. Because there's bad governance everywhere. Let's not even go far. Churches, you have one man supreme. Whatever decisions you make goes. That's why we see the paparism. Because we've turned people into small gods. The presidency is very similar. It needs to break that up. We need to bring proper governance where there's collective responsibility. And last but not least, apply good leadership principles. We need to apply the right principles to govern this nation. And not just this nation, but the whole entire continent. The time when we're going to see something really happen is when we see the right leadership. But this leadership to work, it all comes back to the culture of our African people. And for as long as African people find Muzungu's superior and the IMF superior and the World Bank and all that stuff, we are still going to suffer. We need to be free. But of course, anybody who's talked about freedom, where are they today? Didn't Gaddafi try to create a currency? Where is he today? He's dead. And Museveni was kind enough to tell us the reality. When those problems started in Libya, they flew with a plane to go and solve the problem. And he said that they phoned them and told them, if you know what's good for you, turn your plane, come back. Museveni is on record saying that. So they had already earmarked Gaddafi to be taken out. Why? Because Gaddafi is the first African leader that said we're going to put aside almost $1 billion in gold. And we're going to create a currency called the dinar, the African dinar. And it's going to be the medium of exchange all across Africa. We are de-dollarizing. You know why Saddam Hussein doesn't exist today? Because he was trying to de-dollarize as well. He wanted to go the Euro way. Where is Saddam Hussein? They came up with false stories about him carrying weapons of mass destruction and destroyed Iraq. To this day, it's destroyed. What I'm saying in short is that we need to galvanize and stand. But can we manage? Imagine, I don't even think we can manage because the EU, that whole building you see there was donated by the Chinese. Where's the hope in that? Did you know that 75% of the EU, so not the EU, the AU is funded by the EU? Imagine your oppressor is funding you and you think he's going to fund you to be empowered. That's a dream. It can't happen. Let's take one call and we call it a day. But we're done. I'm done.
Okay. Give us a call. The number is 0974
One call only.
877. Okay, this gentleman has been calling for a while now.
Has he?
Yeah.
Hello, good evening.
Rev Walter, how are you?
Brilliant.
You know, you have just, this is James.
Oh, yes, James. Please go ahead with your contribution.
You've opened up our mind, huh?
Yes, sir.
Just a little. You've opened up our mind, huh? Hello?
Yes. Please go ahead. Yes.
Especially the leadership that we have today, that Mzungwani Konde.
Very common in Africa.
That's the biggest problem we have with our leader today. We thinks that the solution is outside there.
Which leader are we talking about? This
one. I don't want to mention the name.
Please,
I want to follow the end of the day.
Please. Go on.
You know, after some people will just calling me to say Tamvera Vanwe Kamba. So I'll leave it that way. Mzungwani Konde type.
You see, voter mind.
Can the pemper food outside, but if you had food, we have to go and sell our maize outside. And pemper food kuja.
It's probably na vokamba mind.
Then again, can the pemper drama ku YMF. Meanwhile, we should have minerals that we can exchange in technology and develop our country.
It's crazy.
Can you imagine? And you know, I was surprised that Mopani was done like a year ago when the cities are not up there.
Your mind.
I googled it, I checked, it was done in a year ago. I was like, Zambians, are we sleeping or what?
That is all about Babaton.
What have we done in Guluguatu, please? Open us.
We are suffering.
We are going to be finished like so. We are going to manage so. So this is where we are going. So we should open up our mind.
Yeah, mind. All right, that was a very good contribution from James. We'll take one more call and call it a day. And we're going to wrap up now so we get into the ads. One more call and we call it an evening. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, and it's nice we got a lady. Maybe you can give us a different perspective. I think we're just being too manly here. Atibwanji, please give us your perspective.
I just want to appreciate you.
Ati?
Thank you.
Appreciate,
so much
yes,
for coming up with this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you've opened our mind, and I think it's a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you very much. We didn't catch your name, though. Okay, glad to have you. Alrighty,
Thank
bye.
you.
So on that note, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, our key is to awaken our brethren. It's going to take a lot than just making noise on a radio show. We need to overhaul the entire system so that we get to a place where Africans really start being empowered. But for me, it's the mind-numbing poison of religion that has really killed people. And for me, I'm talking as a kingdom advocate because I believe in the kingdom of God. I am a born-again, spirit-filled Christian, so you got to get that bit. But I believe religion has done so much harm. We need to remove the nuggets of pain and evil that have caused Africa to remain in arrested development. That's the word. Where we have not seen growth and where we continue to wallow in the midst. We are wallowing in poverty in the midst of wealth. There's a saying in English, a fool dies of thirst in the abundance of water. That's the African right now. And I hope you're angry enough to seriously think about my words today. And so on that note, we're done with my rant for today. We'll see. If next week I've got more guests, I'll come back and we begin the first subject, which is taking responsibility. You will be blown away by how much this is on us as well as Africans. God bless you. Have a great day. Back to you, Nono.
Thank you, Rev. There you have it. That's it for today's episode of Prosperity Insights. Be sure to catch the good Rev next week on Thursday, just after 18:30. Coming up at 20 hours is the main